You've been lied to your whole life about what strength looks like. You were told to speak up, to defend yourself, to make sure people know who you are and what you stand for, to fight for your reputation, to correct every false story, to explain yourself until people understand. And how has that been working for you? Because somewhere along the way, the most dangerous people you've ever encountered, the ones who made you feel small without even trying, the ones who held power you could never quite grasp, they weren't the loudest in the room. They were the quietest. And you felt it, that stillness around them, that refusal to perform, that terrifying calm that made you feel like they knew something you didn't. They did. There is a wisdom older than any empire, older than any religion, older than the need to be understood. It lived in the mountains of ancient China, in the mind of a man named Laozi, who watched the entire human circus, the ambition, the cruelty, the endless grasping for validation, and arrived at one of the most unsettling conclusions in all of human history. The ones who speak the most, reveal the most. The ones who explain the most, fear the most. And the ones who have truly mastered themselves say almost nothing at all. What you are about to hear will bother you, because deep down, you already know it's true. The first brutal lesson is this. Every time you over-explain yourself, you are confessing your insecurity to the room. Watch someone who feels genuinely secure in a decision they've made. They don't need you to agree. They don't rehearse justifications. They don't preemptively defend. They simply act and then let the results speak. Now watch someone who is secretly terrified. They talk before you ask. They explain before you question. They justify before you challenge. And with every word, they hand you a map, a precise, detailed map of exactly where their wounds are buried. People don't use that map to help you. They use it to navigate around you, over you, and when necessary, through you. Laozi saw the water. He always returned to water. The river does not announce its direction. It does not negotiate with the mountain or debate the stone. It moves, quietly, persistently, without explaining why, and it shapes everything it touches without ever raising its voice. He wasn't describing nature, he was describing the highest form of human power most people never reach. You want to be taken seriously? Stop auditioning for it. The second lesson is darker, and it will cost you something to accept it. Your silence in the face of cruelty is not weakness. It is the only response that cannot be turned against you. Here is what happens when someone attacks you publicly, spreads lies about you, undermines you in front of others. Every word you say in defense becomes a new headline. Every clarification becomes a new argument. Every emotion you show becomes ammunition. The audience watching isn't judging the attacker. They're watching you, how you carry it, whether you crack, whether you perform pain or swallow it. The one who breaks composure loses, not morally, but strategically. And life, for better or worse, is often more strategic than moral. There was no warrior in ancient China more feared than the one who stood perfectly still while being provoked. Because stillness in the face of chaos signals one thing that no amount of aggression can manufacture: absolute internal control. And internal control is the only power no one can take from you. Most people spend their lives trying to control what others think about them. Laozi understood that this is the most exhausting and most futile pursuit a human being can undertake. What others think is none of your business. And the moment you make it your business, you have handed them ownership of your peace. The third lesson will end some of your relationships, and it should. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not everyone deserves your story. Not everyone who asks why you made that decision, why you left, why you stayed, why you chose what you chose. Not everyone is asking because they love you. Some are asking because your answer will either confirm their judgment or give them something new to judge. Silence is not rudeness. Silence is discernment. It is the recognition that your interior life, your reasons, your pain, your growth, your vision is sacred. Not secret out of shame, sacred out of self-respect. You are not obligated to make yourself legible to everyone who demands to read you. Laozi described the sage, the truly wise person, as someone who acts without announcing, who gives without displaying, who leads without declaring leadership. What made this figure so powerful was not mystery for the sake of manipulation. It was the quiet understanding that some things, once spoken, shrink. A dream described too early loses its pull. A boundary explained too much becomes a negotiation. A feeling dissected too quickly becomes an argument. Some things must be protected by silence in order to survive it all. The fourth lesson is the one people resist most violently. You talk too much because you are afraid of what you will hear in the quiet. Noise is not just sound. Noise is distraction. The constant podcast in your ear. The phone checked before you've even fully woken. The conversation filled to every edge so nothing uncomfortable can surface. We have built an entire civilization on the avoidance of stillness because stillness asks questions that entertainment cannot answer. Who are you without the performance? What do you actually want beneath what you've been told to want? What are you running from at full speed while calling it ambition? These are not poetic questions. They are the questions your body is already asking you through anxiety, through sleeplessness, through the hollow feeling that sits in your chest after another day of being very productive, but somehow very empty. Laozi called it returning to the root. The idea that beneath all the accumulation, the titles, the opinions, the identities, the carefully constructed personality you show the world, there is something original, something that was there before the world started shaping you, and the only way to find it is to get quiet enough to hear it. Most people die without ever doing this. They live as a reaction to the world, rather than as an expression of themselves, and they wonder, in their quieter moments, why nothing ever feels quite like enough. The fifth lesson burns. The most powerful statement you will ever make is the one you chose not to make. You know the moment. Someone says something wrong about you. Someone crosses a line. Someone provokes a reaction they've clearly planned to provoke, and you feel it rise. The perfect response, sharp and devastating, fully formed in your throat, ready, and you swallow it, not because you're afraid, not because you have nothing to say, but because you have finally understood something that took years and pain and humiliation to learn, that winning an argument and winning in life are almost never the same thing, that the words you release in anger are never retrieved, that the person who made you react just got exactly what they wanted. That composure, maintained under pressure, is a form of dominance that no clever comeback can match. The sixth lesson is the one nobody talks about, because it requires a kind of courage. Most people mistake for passivity. Sometimes, doing nothing is the most precise action available to you. We are taught from childhood that action is always the answer. Fix it. Solve it. Respond. React. Move. When there is a problem, do something. But Laozi watched the universe and noticed something remarkable. Most things, left undisturbed, resolve themselves. Most conflicts, starved of reaction, collapse under their own weight. Most problems that feel like emergencies become irrelevant within a season. Acting without forcing, not laziness, not surrender. The profound discipline of knowing when your interference will make things worse, when the most intelligent choice is to hold still, observe, and let the situation breathe until its natural resolution becomes clear. This takes more strength than most people will ever develop, because it requires you to tolerate uncertainty without filling it with noise. And now, the seventh lesson. The one that ties every other lesson together. The one that Laozi embedded into every sentence he ever wrote. You are not running out of time. You are running out of silence. Every great realization you have ever had came in a quiet moment. Every genuine connection you have ever felt was built on pauses, not just words. Every time you truly understood yourself, it was because you finally stopped performing long enough to listen. The life you are building, the person you are becoming, the love you want to find or keep or deepen, none of it can be heard over the noise you are making. There is a version of you that exists in the spaces between your words, a version that is not anxious, not reactive, not defined by how others see you. A version that moves through the world like water, adaptive, persistent, and ultimately unstoppable. Not because it fights everything, but because it has learned when to flow, when to wait, and when to be still. Laozi left us with almost no personal story, no record of battles won or empires built. Just 81 short passages written in the language of rivers and valleys and the hollow center of a wheel. And then he disappeared. He didn't need the last word. Neither do you. The strongest version of you isn't the one who always has something to say. It's the one who has learned, finally, irreversibly, what is worth saying, and what is far more powerful left in silence.